welcome, Morella. You're one of our very interesting speakers we have coming up for this year's NZAPH conference. So I thought it would be quite nice to start off by sharing a little bit with our audience a bit about you and your background. And I do understand that you were trained as a medical doctor. Is that right?
I was trained and I worked as a medical doctor for a number of years as well.
So what happened that kind of caused you to change tack a little bit and get into this work as a clinical hypnotherapist?
Um, so to be honest, I think that what happened is that my survival instinct kicked in. When you're a young doctor, you work crazy hours, you don't sleep, you don't eat well, you're typically eating sandwiches from the cafeteria, you're overworked, you're exhausted. And at that time, I thought I cannot survive a medical lifestyle. And I made the decision to step out and do something completely different. So my first change of career was actually into filmmaking. So I
Mm.
also have a diploma in filmmaking that I did in Paris, but I've never made a film.
Oh, interesting.
Because what happened is right at the end of it is that then I met my husband and I came to New Zealand 24 years ago. And then what happened with the change to other modalities is that my first job here was to teach medical subjects at a college teaching naturopathy.
Mm.
And so through that position, I got in touch with all sorts of modalities I had never met before: osteopathy, chiropractic, Ayurveda, naturopathy, herbal medicine. And very quickly, my passion became mind body medicine. And that comes from previous experience. I had noticed that there was a huge influence between the mind and the outcome of physical illness and even accidents, because I used to work in orthopedic surgery quite a bit. And you could see that somebody who had an accident and had a good mental disposition would get through. But those who had no support, who were depressed, who had mental um, frameworks of life, I guess, that were negative, didn't make it through.
Yeah.
So that became my area of interest. And then I met hypnotherapists, and I realized it was a very powerful tool to shift mental attitudes and beliefs, to overcome trauma even, and reinforce those shifts with a valuable, incredible tool such as hypnotherapy.
Mm. So how long have you been doing hypnotherapy now?
It'll be 12 years this year, I think.
Mm.
Yes. Mm.
So when you look back over that 12-year period, when we're kind of looking at how you develop working with people, the one-on-one or groups and things, one of the topics that you were going to talk about is how you work with groups and the advantages of that. So do you want to share a little bit about that so people can understand a bit about your approach?
Sure. So that most hypnotherapists, I guess, I was seeing mainly one-on-one. I still do, and I really enjoy it. But then there was a period of time at around 2017 when I got a number of ladies at the time who were struggling, apart from other things, with their weight. And there was a pattern there where they were alone. You know, they would go back to their homes and relive their normal life. And I realized I'm just doing this 1 hour session once a week, every 2 weeks, maybe. But then they go back to their normal life. And so they go back to their old patterns. They've got nobody to support them. And I'm not being very efficient here. I really need a group so that they have people who are doing the same thing as they are doing, and they become their new social environment that supports the change. And so that was my first idea. And it's probably around the year 2017, because in the year 2018, together with a health coach, we created a lifestyle intervention program that we ran all the way. It was 9-week programs Every week, people would come for 4 hours. And we did a number of repetitions of that same program all the way till COVID lockdowns and so on. So that was the original trigger, really, to get people in groups. And the more I do groups, the more I'm fascinated with the power, the richness, the depth of group sessions.
Mm.
Plus, they have a number of other advantages, of course. You've got the financial side. Somebody's paying a much reduced price compared to what it would take for them to do a full program with you. For the practitioner, it is, again, a potential income that is greater than just doing one-on-one. Once you set up a program, you just repeat it over and over again. You don't have to do the work again. It's so many things that are positive about group work. I love it. And the changes are very, very profound when they happen in a group.
That's nice. Yeah, there's something special about a group energy and that external witness on that journey to success, and having those people acknowledge and be witness to that journey is definitely empowering. Yeah, I can see how that works. I'm curious because a lot of people might go, well, is it the same in a group to be hypnotized versus one-on-one? Because in one-on-one sessions, you might think, well, you can tailor it to that person, but what happens in a group session with the hypnosis?
So it's not the same. There's definitely a difference. And the nuance and the specifics have got a place, of course, when you have very specific data about a particular client that needs to be addressed. So there's a place for that. But in saying that, with group hypnosis, you can tailor your suggestions so that each individual participant can elaborate based on their own personal experience and transform the suggestions that you're offering. So, for example, if I were to work with a one-on-one, I would ask them, what is your happy place? So tell me, where are you? What palm trees are there? What's the color of the water? What's around it? So, and I can use that information in my actual suggestion. When I work with a group, then I leave it more generic. So I invite them to imagine what they see, and I invite them to smell what they smell, all based on their own individual picture that they're working with. So the suggestions do differ. But they've got a place, each of them.
Absolutely. Would you do hypnosis with each of the days that you see them each week? And would it evolve, or would it be the same sort of thing, reoccurring and reinforcing?
Are you talking about one-on-one or in
Yeah,
groups?
you talked about the program that
Oh,
loyalty
okay. So
program.
in
Yeah.
that program in particular, we've done a few since then in different topics. So that one was about lifestyle interventions. And so we created this program with the people would come for 4 hours. And in those 4 hours, the first thing that we realized that a lot of people stopped moving just because, you're 25, your friends don't play netball anymore. There's nobody to go and go hiking with, or so you lose the habit of exercising. Just it's not part of your life anymore, and people don't dare do anything new either. And so what we did was, for that program, we would bring them a new type of movement every week. It would have like a yoga class. We did line dancing. We did Zumba. We're doing some walks in the forest. One day we did the Olympics here in my property, and they were like on paddle boards in the pond and falling in the mud, and it was really funny. So we would do 1 hour of that. We would do 1 hour of general nutrition and talk about recipes and what's the best food for each body type. We had 1 hour that we called the mind shift. And in that 1 hour, we would address a different topic every week. And yes, we did use hypnotherapy in each one of those segments. Yeah, that was a big part of the program.
I'm curious, would it be recorded so they can listen to it again? Or would it just be an experience that they have in that moment and then it just carries on from there?
So these were groups of 16 to 18 people, and very fluid, as in they're not sitting on a chair listening to a speaker. So logistically, We did record certain things, but it was more for myself and the other facilitator to look at ourselves and what we had done and what we could do better,
Mm.
not with the intention of releasing the audio. Although that's something that could be done, with the right technology, you can definitely carry your microphone and then you create an audio that can be repeated. I did create for some of the groups something like a gratitude script that then was distributed to the group, and that was part of the practice.
Nice.
So
Now,
there's little segments that you could do like that as a
yeah.
reinforcement.
Yeah, awesome. You're going to unpack a little bit more about how you work with groups and assist, others that may be in this field that are kind of curious about how you even begin with that and
Mm.
how you might facilitate that successfully. So is there anything else you'd like to sort of share about what people might expect from your presentation coming up?
I think one of the biggest running a group is different to running one-on-one in the sense that you have to become a facilitator.
Mm,
So it is, how do you bring a group together? So it's not only the loud and extrovert ones who speak, So there's a lot of quite a few elements of facilitation that are in the group process, and that's an art in itself. So I've trained in facilitation as well. The other aspect that is completely different is, how do you actually get them up and running? Because it's the marketing for one person is very different to the marketing for 18 people, 20 people, 25 people. So you have to be quite strategic as to how you're going to attract those clients to come at the same time, in the same dates, in the same place. And for example, some of them are really easy. If you're running like that lifestyle program, what we did was go directly to the local doctors, and because doctors really want to they have a problem. You've got a patient with a metabolic syndrome or diabetes or high blood pressure, and they only have a 10-minute consultation. They can't solve that problem.
mm,
So as soon as you show up, you say, hey, I've got this. And of course, there's a lot of medical evidence out there saying that lifestyle interventions are definitely the way to go with these kinds of conditions. And so we just would go to them and say, hey, we're running our first program free of cost. Do you want to send us some people? They were
wow.
more than happy to send us people. And of course, once you run it once, you've got all the testimonials and you've got a relationship with the doctor. It becomes easier and easier. So you pick your topics and then you market. You strategically position yourself with the people who can refer you, the clients,
Yeah.
with credibility.
Brilliant. I think a lot of people who are in practice do struggle with the old marketing.
Mm.
And so, having someone who's done it and, has a successful formula is going to be really invaluable. So, thank you very much for, presenting this year at our conference coming up. And I'm personally looking forward to it. I've done a lot of retreats and facilitation work myself, but I've never actually done group hypnosis in the way for weight loss or anything like that. So it'd be, for me, I think personally, really interesting to come along and listen to what you have to say and share. Is there anything else you'd like to share before we say goodbye for now?
I'm very delighted that this conference is in person.
Yeah.
Oh my God. You know what I've come to realize? I mean, as much as the internet has been a fabulous thing to make things easy for people, it's a bit like fast food, you know, some conferences, because you think that you're being fed, but you're always left with an undernourishment.
Yeah.
And there's nothing like in-person contact, definitely. So I'm very, very happy that this conference is in person. I'm very, very happy that it's in Wellington, which is such an amazing little city, and I'm sure it's going to be fantastic. Great
That's fun.
fun, good to see everybody. It would be awesome.
That's how I've got to know my colleagues better every time
Yeah.
I've gone to a conference. And in the break times, you have a little natter and you connect later. And it just means that, when there is like a big meeting or something, you've found a friend somewhere on the other side of the screen, but you feel like you know a little bit more about them because you've met them in person. And I don't think anything can replace that.
And the other advantage, connecting with that is that then you can find, like, for example, I hate doing work on my own. Typically, if I'm going to run a retreat or a program or whatever, I always look for a partner to do it with.
Mm.
So it's in these places that you can recognize who could be your potential partner to run a group.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. And you
So,
can
and to, like you don't even have to be too local with each other, because you could do swapsies. You might
That's
have
exactly.
your space. You're in Auckland area, sort of that space, and I'm in Wellington. So, if I was facilitating and invited you, or vice versa, then you've got two different places that potentially you could roll out a program.
Or you have a problem and you can't be there for one day, and you've got somebody else to cover. It's definitely the way to go. We need human contact.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, Morella, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. And I for sure am really looking forward to this conference. It's going to be great. And definitely looking forward to what you have to share.
Thank you. Me too. I'm really excited about it.